Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap up for Friday, August 11th, 2017, the WNW 296. Well, every week seems to top itself in the news. It just seems to be getting more and more chaotic. We got to start with North Korea. The warnings are real. The quotes are real. The missiles firing are real. Here we have North Korea threat comes after Trump vows fire and fury. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought, yes, let him know we are going to go after him if he, shoots an ICBM at Guam or Japan or South Korea. The problem with this whole North Korean situation is really all the artillery pieces, not the nukes. With 30,000 rockets, artillery pieces within range of Seoul, South Korea, with a population of about 25 million people. A big city with a lot of people. At least 25 million in range of all those missiles, not just Seoul, I guess. But just an unbelievable powder keg going on. Now, what the mainstream media would like you to believe is that Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump are about the same sort of crazy. But it's totally not true. I mean, you talk about a psyop. Did you know that in the Clinton administration, and he cut this last deal that was going to be good for the American people and good for everybody, according to Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, there were 5 nukes that in the possession of Kim Jong-un's father back in the early 90s during the Clinton administration. And this is just a way to negotiate. Now, I don't think is as crazy as what he would portrays himself or the media portrays him to be. It's just a way to negotiate. But that train has left the station. And this is getting awful heated, especially when he threatens to hit Guam with a nuclear weapon, or the United States or Japan or any number of other places he's threatened to use nuclear weapons. The threat becomes serious, especially when you consider that North Korea is developing nuclear weapons. And who knows, are they being paid by Iran to test this stuff, by Somalia, Sudan? Who else are the North Koreans testing nuclear weapons for? Kim Jong-un said he wants to share this technology. That makes it even worse. But just to let you know how uncrazy Donald Trump is, let's just start here with what China says. And I think this is very instructional. This is in the Chinese newspapers, and nothing happens in the Chinese newspapers that isn't approved by the government. But China paper says China should stay neutral if North Korea attacks first. Now, that's a powerful message to North Korea. But look at this right here. If North Korea launches an attack that threatens the United States, then China should stay neutral. But if the United States attacks first and tries to overthrow North Korea's government, China will stop then. Will stop them. And, a Chinese state-run newspaper said on Friday. So, if you take a look at, what's going on, China's going to stop the U.S., if we attack first, but they're going to let it go if Kim Jong-un attacks first. And, with all this this ballyhoo and all these false statements and psyops by the mainstream press trying to let you know that Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump are exactly the same. They're both crazy maniacs on the button of nuclear weapons. I don't think so, especially with Donald Trump, because what you're not hearing about in the mainstream press is this. If Donald Trump was so wackadoodle and crazy, would he be able to go to the UN Security Council? Here's the headline: Nikki Haley, new UN sanctions, a gut punch to North Korea. This is the Washington Free Beacon. The story says the UN Security Council on Saturday, this is last week, passed a resolution 2371 with a 15-0 unanimous vote imposing new sanctions on North Korea for defying UN resolutions and continuing to test intercontinental ballistic missiles. Now, you're not seeing that played up very much in the mainstream press. They ought to be coming back to this over and over again. That means 15 countries, all the countries on the Security Council, including China and Russia, don't think Donald Trump or his administration is too crazy for worrying about Kim Jong-un. That's a huge win for the Trump administration to go to the UN Security Council and get a 15-0 verdict in your favor, a unanimous verdict that says, yeah, Kim Jong-un, North Korea is out of line. That's a huge, huge win. But you're not seeing that in the mainstream media. What I see more often than not is they're comparing Donald Trump to somebody crazy, or his administration is cool-headed and he's nutty, kind of cuckoo, kind of cray. But you don't see that kind of thing going on. Now, listen, I think because there are sanctions, of course, Kim Jong-un is totally pissed because that's going to squeeze him and his people. And it's going to cause, problems for him. But I think because there are sanctions, the Trump administration is going to be forced to let them play out. I think that means 3 to 6 months. That's what I think. But there's going to come a time where they're not going to allow him to play out. Now, if Kim Jong-un and the North Koreans are, make a mistake, or are they that crazy and they fire off an intercontinental ballistic missile? We have the THAAD missile defense system and other systems, and they're good. But if they are stupid enough to fire one off, he's going to get whacked. And I think China and Russia is going to back off. But the deeper problem with North Korea is they're testing nuclear weapons. They already have a miniaturized, nuke they can put on a warhead. So that horse is out of the barn. I mean, they have nukes. They're just trying to make them better. And they say they want to share the technology. At what point does the Trump administration say, hey, listen, we've already told you we're not negotiating with you anymore. We're not biting on this. We're not going to give you billions of dollars and more money and more time because you're throwing a temper tantrum and you're holding nukes to our heads. So I don't know when that trigger gets pulled, but it may get pulled, and it may get pulled sooner than later. My bet is they're going to try to let the sanctions work for a while, but there's a lot of wild cards here. Things could get things could get out of control by accident. And then I want to go ahead and bring this up. This is just a response from yesterday. North Korea responds, vows to mercilessly wipe out provocateurs, and then blast U.S. will suffer final doom. I mean, this is not the kind of quotes that you make if you're trying to, do some negotiations. I mean, Tillerson was out, last week or so saying they're going to try to do, negotiations. We're going to try to use diplomatic channels to try to settle this. But this doesn't look like that's happening now. Is this some game? Some way to negotiate? I think Donald Trump was called out, and one of the reporters said, you're doing a I dare you game. It's a game of I dare you, or double dare, or whatever. And Trump says, no, this is a fact. No, we're going to wipe them out if they fire on Guam or anywhere else. I'm paraphrasing. We're gonna hit them, and this is a fact. This is not a dare. And I think that that's a risk. It's a real risk. It's for a variety of reasons. It's a real risk. Speaking of national security, I don't understand this, folks. Donald Trump backs embattled advisor H.R. McMaster. He's our friend. He says he likes Israel. Supposedly, it's been reported in the Israeli press. He's gotten rid of a lot of people who are partial to Israel. He got rid of a lot of people who are partial to Donald Trump. H.R. McMaster is his security advisor. He wrote a letter telling Susan Rice, she was the Obama security counterpart, that you can keep your security clearance, and then told the world that she didn't do anything wrong by unmasking hundreds of Americans, with this surveillance. Again, I tell you that they have this I think, sham of a Russia investigation, because if they just surveilled and tried to undermine the president, totally illegal. They have to have this cover of Russia, Marsha. They have to have the cover, but listen, there's something more devious going on here. I mean, Hillary was supposed to win. This was going to cover a lot of sin. And instead, the sin is unwinding and being exposed on a variety of fronts. And here's the latest. FOIA dump reveals collusion between Lynch, FBI, and the media to bury the Clinton Lynch meeting. On the tarmac out in Arizona, where they just happened to meet and then talk for more than 30 minutes about the grandkids. Of course, all the information that's coming out and the FOIA request, it's redacted. They ended up having the FBI and the DOJ talking points. That's a political move. Both of those institutions are supposed to be apolitical. Sounds like a cover-up to me, doesn't it? Sounds like that the FBI Director James Comey covered up major crime. Just look at his, 14-minute press conference where he gave one reason after another to indict Hillary Clinton, and then at the end says, no reasonable prosecutor would go after Hillary Clinton. Well, I guess Jeff Sessions is not too reasonable, because, that is on his plate. Talk about more of that in just a minute. I just want to get with this. Clinton-Lynch tarmac scandal linked directly to Obama. This is Jay Sekulow. This is the Trump's lawyer. This is the political insider, Jay Sekulow, Trump's attorney. We're learning more and more about this meeting, and it's clear. It was the point in which the Clintons were able to avoid criminal prosecution charges, which once seemed likely. Listen, I'm going to tell you this again. Just take this in. I've boiled this. It took me a long time to boil this down. Hillary Clinton, in my opinion, was using multiple servers, plural, that's what came out in the investigation. Hillary Clinton was using multiple servers to cover up the fact she was taking treasonous bribes in the form of donations to a global charity fraud. I can't tell you all the crimes that were committed. I mean, treason, fraud, bribery, obstruction of justice. It's unbelievable. And James Comey covered that up. And you have to think to yourself, listen, if it was true, and it is, that James Comey knew that he had said that the Donald Trump was not the target of any investigation. He was not the target of the investigation. It came out in the hearings that, well, that fact was never leaked. Why would James Comey try to get a special prosecutor by breaking the law and leaking to his NYU law school friend, information which we'd never have seen that memo? A memo, we've never seen the memo, to one of the big newspapers. I think it was the New York Times. Could have been the Washington Post. Anyway, leaking this so he could get a special prosecutor. Why does Comey need a special prosecutor? Why is Comey going after Donald Trump and trying, as he testified he said he was doing and got, a special prosecutor, which ended up being his friend, Robert Mueller? Well, how about this? Here's my take on this. And listen, I'm not stating my opinion as fact. But how about Comey needs to have his own, his own way to be cleared. He has to have immunity from prosecution too. And this is what I think's going on. I think this whole Robert Mueller thing is nothing more than a race to try to knock out Trump, his family, his administration, his associates. But Mueller's got a bad case. He's got to pull stunts like a pre-dawn raid at Paul Manafort's house when he was already cooperating completely and totally. He's got to hire a bunch of Clintonites. Even one of the lawyers worked on the Clinton Global, the Clinton fund, the Clinton Global Initiative, the Clinton Foundation. James Kallstrom called it a huge criminal conspiracy. And you got a lawyer from that? James Comey was asked if he was investigating the Clinton Foundation. The Justice Department and Jeff Sessions is doing that. He's looking at Uranium One. He's looking at the bribes. It's a multi-billion dollars. But that's part of the swamp, folks. That doesn't happen. A multi-billion-dollar global charity fraud that everybody looks the other way on, or gets paid off and then looks the other way. You can't have that in Washington, something that big, multi-billion-dollar, what did Charles Ortel say? It could be $100 billion. I mean, they collect, $4 billion for Haiti, and they got diddly squat of it, according to former government people in Haiti. They got a few percent. Where'd the money go? So I think there's a lot of people who are in deep that Hillary Clinton was supposed to cover up. They committed crimes against an incoming administration. They did all kinds of things they shouldn't have done with the intelligence services. I think they committed fraud. They committed treason. A lot of people were on board with the whole Clinton Foundation. They knew she was monetizing the State Department. There's a lot of she had instructed her staff to take hammers to her hard drives. James Comey gave immunity to 5 people, not a single prosecution, and then he destroyed all the laptops afterwards. I mean, the whole thing stinks. The whole thing stinks. And then you have this bomb. And yeah, Ed Klein, I've talked to him before. He wrote the best-selling book. He's written a couple of best-selling books on the Clintons. Blood Feud, where he, the feud with the Obamas and the Clintons, and also Guilty as Sin, and exposing, the charades, the happenings, the malfeasance of the Clintons. But Ed Klein out on Newsmax, I saw him say this. Ed Klein on Newsmax, Hillary wouldn't take a plea bargain in the email case, and he's talking about his sources are saying that the Jeff Sessions Justice Department is opening up the email case. They got her dead to rights. She was under subpoena for 33,000 emails. She was supposed to turn those in to the State Department. She didn't do it. She was supposed to turn those over to Congress under subpoena. She didn't do it. She bleach bitted her, supposedly, which wiped out all of the information on her server. She took hammers to hard drives and cell phones. Her staff did. Erased all those emails. That she had classified information, fact, on her servers. They were unprotected. That was just like having a screen door in a house and somebody just opening right up. It's just unbelievable. Again, multiple private, unprotected servers, which, in fact, she had classified and special access programs on. Highly classified information on. And she had it on. She's dead to rights. She had that stuff on her servers. And not to mention the fact we find out that Loretta Lynch had using an alias to communicate inside the Justice Department and other people, using her own private email, as Obama was using his own private email. It's unbelievable. And this is a race with Jeff Sessions and the Justice Department to go after people. Hillary Clinton. They go after Hillary Clinton, and I've told you this before. How big of a stretch would it be to say, your daughter ran the Clinton global charity fraud, the Clinton Foundation, and we're going to put her in prison too. We're going to go after her. Or are you going to roll over for us? Then the whole idea of, Hillary Clinton, who does get Secret Service protection, but if, the deep state wants somebody dead, they can do it. That she has an accident or something like that, she becomes a huge liability for everybody involved. This whole thing's like a string on a sweater, and before you know it, you're naked. You just keep pulling the string, right? There's a lot of people involved. I think there's a lot of people that took payoffs. There's a lot of people that compounded it by doing more illegal things to the incoming president and more illegal things. And this whole Robert Mueller investigation is a race to knock out Trump before Trump and the Justice Department knock out them. And I think the stronger case, of course, is with Trump and the Jeff Sessions Justice Department. And another thing I wanted to tell you, this is why, and somebody else said this too, that, Donald Trump tried to play nice with the deep state and, post some people inside the deep state, and it didn't work. Here we have, Donald Trump gave Mitch McConnell's wife a job, and then Mitch McConnell, when he, went on recess, he kept the session, the Senate in session, so Donald Trump couldn't make any recess appointments. And the Democrats are already dragging their feet, and hey, looks like, Mitch McConnell, the head of the Senate, is also dragging his feet and, kept the session in session, so Donald Trump couldn't make any recess appointments, which he badly needs to do because he's way behind where Obama was at this point, 200 and some odd days than Obama was, and everybody's dragging their feet to keep Donald Trump from doing what will destroy them. And that is looking into voter fraud and looking into all the crime and fraud with the intelligence agencies and the crime and fraud with Clinton. And surrounding that ring is a ton of other people and more crime and fraud. And that's what this is. It's a race to knock one another out. And the guy that has the case that has to be stretched, the guy that has to have a case where he has to find the crime, don't worry, we're going to find a crime, is Robert Mueller. The crimes on the other side are numerous, and there are a lot of people involved. That is what I think is going on. And then when you see Ed Klein talking about, talking about the Justice Department and Hillary Clinton and them offering her a plea agreement, and that she won't take it because she's stubborn. she blames her loss on everybody but herself. I mean, then you still have, the treason of Uranium One. I mean, real Russian collusion. You have the treason of President Bill Clinton doubling his speaking fees in Russia, and what some say is an association with, the collusion with Russia and Uranium One, and almost 20% of our nuclear production, our uranium production, ending up in Russian hands. And then you have the Clinton Foundation, where other countries, have given tens of millions of dollars to this, what Charles Ortel says is a fraud. This is unbelievable, folks. This is really unbelievable crime at a level that is unprecedented in American history. Really unprecedented in American history. This kind of global fraud and crime. And it's not just the Clintons. They had a lot of help with that. And one last thing I wanted to bring up. Before I go into the economy, I want to go into the economy and then talk a little bit about Google. But one of the last things I wanted to bring up is this war on the border of India and China. I mean, they're getting ready to go at each other. I mean, they're clearing out villages on the border. They say it's going to be a little war. I don't know, when 1.6 or 7 billion people meets a country of 1.6 or 7, 1.5 billion people, and both of them have nukes. Can that remain a little war? I hope so. But that's another thing going on that pretty much underreported that, kind of scares me. But then again, in the end of days, what is that? Wars and rumors of wars were predicted in the Bible. I want to talk a little bit about the economy, the real economy. There's plenty of stats out there. I just want to give a shout out to John Williams at shadowstats.com. He's talking about private jobs surveying showed renewed collapse in July of 2017. I mean, they're telling you the unemployment rate is 4.1. Mystery fantasy number 4.1. I don't even look at it because I think it's a fraud. 4.1%. If you did unemployment the way the Bureau of Labor Statistics did it in 1994 and earlier, was changed in the Clinton administration. This is according to shadowstats.com. They say, yeah, we improved. We went from 23% and change to 22% unemployment and change. This is if you did unemployment the way the Bureau of Labor Statistics did it in 1994 and earlier, and that's what ShadowStats John Williams does, it'd be 22.1%. And you wonder why the economy is so bad. Add on that Obamacare and the taxes and the skyrocketing premiums and all that, and how is the economy going to get better? But the deep state, Mitch McConnell, I don't know how he screwed that up, but he did. And I heard one commentator say that's what he wanted. He didn't want it to go through. He should have known what the vote was gonna be before he took it. How could he not? It's only 51 votes. How could he not know John McCain was going to be the party pooper? How could he not know? I don't know. And then you have the debt ceiling, which I've been asking every guest about, and I know everybody, they'll raise it. They've raised it 50 times. I'm not so sure they're going to raise it, and neither is Ray Dalio. And here's the headline about the economy, and this is Ray Dalio, Bridgewater Associates. He manages $160 billion. This is not an idiot. With two potential crises, buy gold in case things go badly. What are the two potential crises? Well, let's see. North Korea, talked all about that. And also the debt ceiling. He's not sure they're going to raise it. He's not sure that the Democrats and the Republicans, the rhinos that want to destroy Trump, aren't going to shut the government down, not raise the debt ceiling. The Democrats have already threatened to shut the government down if they fund the border wall. Why would the Democrats go to the mat on that? Well, because of fraudulent voting, illegal alien voting. They need those votes. Listen, that's the votes they tell. There's no evidence. Now Trump's trying to get evidence, and he's trying to cut off the illegal immigration. He's trying to cut off the illegal voting. He's trying to put an end to it. Sanctuary cities, Jeff Sessions going after that. Cutting off their money. Rahm Emanuel is suing over what? We want to break the law. We're going to sue you. We can break the law any way we want. Chicago's its own country, and we want your federal dollars from everywhere in the country so we can continue with a stranglehold on votes by bringing in desperate people that'll vote for us because anybody with two neurons touching together wouldn't do that. That's what that's about, folks. The illegal immigration is about illegal voting. Period. The end. And then ballot box stuffing, and then dead people voting, and voting twice, and all the other lovely tricks the Democrats do as well. That's what that's about. But they keep telling us there's no evidence of that. Yeah. And if they have their way, there's never going to be any evidence of that. But Ray Dalio says, buy gold. Just in case things don't go very well. Finally, I want to just talk about this. Actually, and I'll give a little credit here to USA Today. This is USA Today. And this is a fired Google engineer who wrote the, memo. It's supposed to be an inside company memo. He didn't intend to release it. It got released later. It's a 10-page memo discussing and criticize Google's diversity efforts. He's talking about they're doing diversity basically in all the wrong places. They only have a diversity of opinion and not have an echo chamber of far left Marxist opinions. Of course, they fired him for that. But he is suing them. He's at the National Labor Relations Board, NLRB. That is the National Labor Relations Act. He's suing them under that, saying that this, they're saying, and they don't know exactly what it is, but what they are surmising is that, they're saying this may be protected, getting together and worrying about, how things are going with the company and hostile workplace environment and things like that, that may be protected. I think this has garnered Google a ton of bad publicity. And you know how Silicon Valley is. I mean, you don't stay king of the hill with technology for too long. Because I think Google's going to take a hit. If I were you, and this is what I do, I use Bing. I just use Bing. I don't know if they're very much better, but you don't see the do no evil. That's the Google's do no evil. That's their I think their slogan, do no evil. But this is just going to garner them a lot of bad publicity, and I don't think they're going to be king of the hill forever. I think there are going to be other ways to search for things. Google's very powerful, don't get me wrong, but I think there's going to be other ways to search for things, and I think Google shot themselves in the foot by immediately firing him on a memo that he did not release to the public. It just got released to the public. And I think he's going to have a pretty good case. They say in this newspaper article it's going to take a while to get through, but I think this is a pockmark on Google, and it just is going to further crack open the door for, do we really need Google? Can we do something else? Are there going to be other search engines? I say yes. Thank you for supporting USAWatchdog.com with your comments and your donations. That helps us out. Remember, folks, don't get all bummed out. Don't fall for the hype with Donald Trump losing his base. Oh, he's crazy. Don't fall for that. That's cuckoo. That's nutty. That's what they want you to think. Don't be too freaked out about North Korea. Of course, mistakes can happen, but I do think they'll let sanctions work. That's how that works. Some months anyway. But at some point, that's going to be a problem. We're gonna get to the point where it's either the Trump administration is going to put up or shut up, and I don't think they're gonna shut up. But listen, fear not. God the Father and His Son Jesus Christ are fully in charge. Fear not. Protect yourself mentally, physically, above all, spiritually. Thanks for supporting USAWatchdog.com.